Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the first of our Brid & Peers Arts 2021 Festival of New events. The Festival of New is a whirlwind of freshly devised music and sound, exploring some of the most exciting work being made in the UK today. All of the projects you're about to hear have been developed in Snape and Aldeburgh on residencies that take place all year round, giving artists the freedom to take risks, be ambitious, and release their creative spirit. This is the third live iteration of the Festival of New, grown out of our desire to give a platform to artists making brand new work through our year-long residencies. Some of the projects you're about to hear are fully completed works, while others are still in development, giving the performers the opportunity to try out new ideas in front of an audience. At the end of this performance, there will be a very short Q&A, and we'll be taking and inviting questions from the audience and comments and feedback. As you know, there will be a total of 7 performances over the next 2 days, 3 today and 4 tomorrow. I should also draw your attention to our 2 installations, the sound voice installation, which is taking place in the Jerwood Kiln Studio, and Le Six, Brid & Peers Young Arts Artist Programme Composers Film, bit of a mouthful, in the Dovecot Studio, both occurring from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. today, and tomorrow 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, because of the COVID situation, please continue to respect one another and wear masks indoors where you can. The Hoffman Bar is open around the main events of the festival, serving drinks, snacks, and some hot food. We are very grateful to the invaluable support of the residency programme from our funders, Help Musicians UK, John Ellerman Foundation, and the PRS Foundation. The Festival of New is also supported by the British Council, and we're also delighted to be working in partnership with Opera North for Thabo's residency here this week. So, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our very first artist, the Zimbabwean-born, Huddersfield-based singer-songwriter and producer, Thabo.
The song is about words. The treachery of words. The danger of words.
What does that mean?
To be honest, is this idea that you can say a word, and one word meaning so many different things. But also, it's the fact that words will remind you that you said them. There will come a point where you will say something, and then remember yourself saying it. And either you will enjoy that memory, or you will regret that memory. So words will revisit you once they've been spoken. They'll revisit you at some point, and you will pay or you will rejoice. So I've loved and I've now lost love. And the pain of losing love is so severe that I want love to come back. But feeling the way I feel, knowing that this is what it costs to have love, do I actually want it to come back? So it's being caught between love. And I'm between loves right now. And whew, it was beautiful when it was beautiful. But it's hell. The payment is hell. I'd come out of a relationship and it was the most painful breakup I've ever been through. And I was totally unprepared. No one ever told me how breakups work and how deep they can cut. I remember saying, I even prayed. I said, I have no idea what I've done. I remember saying this to God. I said, I have no idea what I've done to deserve this. This is deep. Everyone here is familiar with bushfires, how devastating they can be. And in order to prevent the devastation of a bushfire, you have to get rid of the grass that will turn into tinder. So what the Bantu people did was conduct what is called a cool burn. And in so doing, they will prevent mass devastation deep into the dry season. Coolest and the smoothest point of your relationship, at your most relaxed, at the sweetest point of your relationship, conduct a cool burn. Burn your relationship. Plan your breakup. It's inevitable. It'll happen. One way or another. Whether you stay together or not, you will break up. Burn it. Burn it. See what happens. See what's actually underneath. Burn it.
message, just hang up. Or to hear more options, please press 1.
And my heart said to me, well, the house didn't go anywhere. The neighbor didn't go anywhere. But the third time you fell in love, that was like discovering a city. And I was like, wow. Wow. And everything that you can do in a city. And you grew in that city more than you'd ever done in the house or in the neighborhood. And every other time you have fallen in love since, you discovered a country, you discovered a continent, you discover a planet, you discover a solar system, you discover a galaxy, and so on and so on and so on. The crazy thing about it, in fact, not even the crazy, the most beautiful part of it is the house is still there. And every now and again, you reminisce, you go back to that house and think, wow, that was amazing. You are not a house divided unto yourself simply because the love that you had the first time you fell in love is still there. That house is still standing. It should be. It is a monument and a testament of your beginning. It should be standing. In that neighborhood, in that city, in that country, in that continent, on that planet, in that solar system, in that galaxy that you currently call love. This may sound a little strange. I was dreaming about our breakup. It will come sooner or later, so it's nothing to be afraid of. If we could see it from a mile away and make it something we were prepared for, how would we celebrate the journey of the day we came from? 'Cause I love that we're so single together. In our own separate heaven. I love that we're so single together. In our own separate heaven. You and I are. Oh, lead a herd to your father's land and ask for your hand in the lifelong dance. I want nothing more than to lay you down and sow my seed so that we can grow our own family tree. I want nothing more than to toil around you, yeah. To eat, sleep, read, and repeat. I want nothing more than to sit by the fire with you and tell the stars about who we are, who we are.
afraid that if you call, I'll just fall apart. After working so damn hard to get over you, I'm afraid that if you call, I'll just fall apart. After working so damn hard to get over you, and I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. And I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. Cold, cold, I need to know if I'm strong. So cold, 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 cold. I'm afraid to see your face, 'cause my heart will misbehave. And I know my eyes will say what I feel for you. Hey, I'm afraid to see your face, 'cause my heart will misbehave. And I know my eyes will say what I feel for you. And I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. And I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. And I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. And I wonder, in fact I hope I bring out the same fear in you. I hope I bring out the same fear in you. Hey, hey, do you remember when you broke up and it was so devastating you never thought that you would make it to where you are now? Remember when you broke up and it was so devastating you never thought that you would make it to where you are now? I'm just gonna let that breathe, let you think about that for a minute. That time when you broke up and it was so devastating you never thought that you would make it to where you are now. 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 Look at where you are now. Oof. And if you're one of those lucky people who has someone special and significant to you, you should remember that there was a time when they broke up and it was so devastating they never thought that they would make it to where they are now with you. Yes, there was a time when they broke up
was so devastating. They never thought that they would make it to where they are now with you. And if you are extra lucky that that person's sitting next to you, just go ahead and nudge them. That's all you need to do, just nudge them. They'll know. If they're a bit further, this is a good time to pull up your phone and just send them a text message. Because you're in the moment right now. We're in the moment right now. And just say, hey. See, I can't see you from in here. So if you haven't pulled out your phone, well. Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah. You thought this part was just a joke? Go ahead, pull out your phone. And just say, hey, you. The journey has been amazing. Let's keep going. We'll just play you some texting music right now. It just occurred to me that I should probably do the same, but my phone is backstage charging, so. So devastating. You never thought that you would make it to where you are now. 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 Ah! I should just let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. Oh, should I answer?
Hey, this is Thabo's phone. I will try to call you back if you leave your name and number, or you'll call me back. Either way, we will speak soon. Peace and love.
After you finish your message, just hang up.
Or to hear more options, please press 1. Izulu love letter Ellingham Bori.
I'll recite 2 poems. I will do Izulu love letter Kabori. Then after that, I will do from Lenza.
There'll be no mercy when they come back to taunt you. They'll pick you apart and leave nothing but pieces. kisses, then slip from your grasp. At the moment you need them, I used to say, better to have it and lose it than not have it at all. I used to say, better to have it and lose it than not have it at all. Until she was gone. Oh, gone. Until she was gone. Oh, gone. Oh, manje 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 ngizomthola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho ofunayo, thola ngapho othandayo. Manje 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 ngizomthola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho ofunayo, thola ngapho. Be careful of words. They cause so much commotion when your back is turned. Yeah. They play hide and seek with emotion, but whatever you do, make sure you don't ignore them, be they kind or they cruel. Just take note of how they're spoken. I used to say, better to have it and lose it than not have it at all. I used to say, better to have it and lose it than not have it at all. Until she was gone. Until she was gone. Until she was gone. Until she was gone. Until she was. Until she was. Until she was. Until she was. Hey, manje 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 ngizomthola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho ofunayo, thola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho, thola ngapho. Manje ngizomthola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho, thola ngapho. Manje ngizomthola ngapho othandayo, thola ngapho ofunayo, thola ngapho.
Well, thank you very much, Thabo. That was a really amazing and seriously intoxicating performance. It was great because we had sort of a brief discussion before, and you kind of explained to me the whole the whole project and the whole event. And I think what didn't quite come across in our conversations was the sense of seamlessness. So it's not just like a film and a couple of songs, that there is this whole kind of complete experience.
Yeah, the truth is, the seamlessness came yesterday. So we're just as pleased that it arrived.
Right.
Yeah, we're and it took us by surprise.
Right. And how are you feeling just immediately in the aftermath of a performance?
Very hoarse. I don't sound like this. Also, I always forget to drink, so my morning voice tends to emerge if I'm thirsty. So if you hear me later and I sound like this, don't be surprised. But honestly speaking, grateful is the word for how we feel. We were sitting, just nudging ourselves back, like we felt like schoolboys who have been told to behave in church. You know that feeling? And it's been a long time since I've felt that mischievous and young. Do you know? Because
not that long, sure.
It's been a while, and it was because, in a way, when you're in church, and for me at least, what allowed me to be fidgety was the fact that I felt safe. You know what I mean? And if I went too far, my mom would just pull me back, Right. And I was sitting thinking about it. I was like, testament to this entire experience. Felt very safe.
Good.
Like, honestly, credit to everyone who helped us work on this. Like, it's the most, the most wonderful creative experience I've ever had. And shout out to Jamie, who made us sound good. Shout out to John, who did the visuals. Please give them a round of applause. This was a truly collaborative effort, and we all just kept pitching ideas in, and without their input and Tom, I feel like it's an acceptance speech now, but listen, everyone here is amazing, and this has been, I'm humbled. I'm scared if I keep talking, I might get emotional.
Before we have too much of an acceptance speech, I'm going to jump into some fairly quick fire questions for you. Cool. So I think, as you know, some of the Festival of New projects are at kind of quite different stages of development. And as I understand it, some of the material included in this set has actually been performed before. Is that right? Or not really? No. So this is fresh.
Not only is it fresh, we arrived here, like Matthew and Aaron came here on Wednesday, and we literally started saying, okay, we've never played these songs.
Right.
We've recorded them, and it's been a while, and Julian picked them up for the film, but we've never really started dissecting them. And Aaron's an amazing keys player, Matthew's an amazing guitarist. And if you notice, there was we didn't have any percussive instruments, so we were nervous on Wednesday because we didn't know what it was going to sound like. But again, credit to them, man. They pulled it together,
Sure, they certainly did, yeah. So before I jump into some audience questions, we were talking a little bit yesterday about how the arts, in particular, sort of historically have focused on multi-sensory aspects, so specifically sort of visuals and sound and the interaction of these in sort of film and theatre and opera. But it suddenly struck me, I think, when we were talking, that actually I personally hadn't really had a great deal of experience with scent as something that was used as kind of part of the performance. Although I do have like very fond memories of being a kind of child of the 80s, and I think at that point everyone thought that smell-o-vision would be a thing that happens at some point in the year 2000s. So I'm interested in kind of the interaction between scent and the visuals, and also the aspect of sound, and like how you're thinking about those, just in terms of their kind of like interaction, I guess. What are your thoughts about what scent kind of brings to the performance?
I think the people who compose and pull together fragrances for us to enjoy dedicate as much time as the ones who compose music for us to enjoy. As much time and energy as those who paint and do things that are visual for us to enjoy. And the more I found out about that, I was astounded. And it seems a shame to not bring that in. Like, the best immersive experience is cooking, is one of our parents cooking in the kitchen and the whole house beginning to smell of that. And there's music playing in the background. And there's something happening with your siblings, you're arguing over a remote or something along those lines. That is that's the clearest immersive experience, one of them for me. How can we bring that energy into our live performances? Not just us, but everyone. And how can we begin to ask those questions and bring these wonderful men and women who put these fragrances together into these spaces, And the first project we did, we tried it. We had 4 fragrances, but this time we just decided, let's just use one, and let's go abstract with it, So,
right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I just had a question about the sort of film itself. So, what happened with that? Did the director contact you? Did you contact them? What was the situation with that?
The director is Julian Knox. He's a poet, and he is one of those special individuals for whom everything is poetry. And he and I were on the phone, and he said, "Hey, I have the facilities and the resources to make a music video. Do you have any songs?" And I said, yeah. So I sent him a song. In fact, the last song that we played, I sent that to him. And he said, yeah, I like that. We got together, we started shooting the basis for a music video. But then at some point, because we're good friends, he said to me, you know what, this isn't enough. People, as a musician, as a singer, as a musician, you have to really encompass all that makes your art. So the philosophy, if there's a way to let people know what you're thinking beyond just distilling it into 3.5 minutes of music, let's do that. So the funny thing is that the song that started the whole conversation that turned into a short film is the song that we left out of the film. So it was just supposed to be a simple music video, but again, he did his thing. He would just record us having conversations, and I had no idea what he was doing. I really didn't.
Right.
But then at some point you just go, you know what? I feel safe because that's the homie. Right. So that's how that came about.
Right.
Yeah.
So the film itself is kind of exploring the nature and the experiences regarding kind of breakups. And I think that when I first sort of read about this particular project, my immediate thought was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in any way as a diss, but I think obviously there has been sort of like a long-standing tradition of singer-songwriters in particular using the aspects of kind of pain and heartache within their music. And I suppose I wondered, where does this whole project kind of stand in relation to that? Is it sort of in keeping with that tradition, or are you trying to do something different? What's your general vibe about that?
The ideal situation is we want to get to a place where we discover what the very best way to break up is. If not discover that way, at least ask the question. Because there's something that is very inefficient about breakups. If they were technology, we would sit down and think about how can we redesign this so that this much energy isn't being lost in the process of breaking up. Because that's why I said to you, you remember that devastating one? And it's usually the first one. The first one is devastating. And then you think it won't happen, and then the second one comes along and tsunamis you. You know that. How can we design emotional philosophy and technology and just have the conversation about, hey, we should know how to do this better. You know, not, hey, I hate you right now, and okay, you hate me too, but let's start asking questions so that we can hand over to the next generation something that, okay, cool. We've done it for grief, right? And I said this to you yesterday, we've done it for grief. There are 7 stages. And you can map out where you are. But for breakups, no one ever has that conversation about what's going to happen when we break up. How are we going to do this? Because it ruins the vibe, right? But in a way, we all know that if a fire broke out here, we meet at the car park. There's a procedure for that. What's the procedure to break up? And when do you have that conversation? That was the real thing. As I was going through mine, I was thinking, there was a point where we could have had this conversation. Like, hey, in case of desired exit, there's a door there, and there's another one there. You know, calmly, you know, let yourself be known, and then let's go through 3 months of conversation or whatever, and let's break up beautifully. Can I say one more thing?
Please.
I'll tell you the story real quick. There's a couple, they're both artists. They decided they were going to break up, and they broke up in the most artistic gangster way possible. Some of you may know the story, and you know, I've just forgotten their names. They'd been doing art together for 4 years, and they're really world-renowned. And then when it came to the end of the relationship, they said, okay, cool. I think we're done. Are you good? They were like, yeah, I'm good. You good? Yeah, cool. And they said, okay, let's fly to China, and let's go to the Great Wall. I'll start walking from one end of the Great Wall. You start walking from the other. We'll meet in the middle. We'll hug. We'll embrace. We'll say whatever we need to say, and then we will never speak to each other again. So I think it takes a month to walk, or maybe 2. Don't quote me. So imagine walking from one end of the Great Wall to the other, knowing that the goal of this walk is to see someone once and then never again. I just thought that was beautiful, man. Lots of walking, but it's beautiful. So break up, that's sorry.
No.
Just for your back pocket, just in case you go to China and you need to break up with someone. It's like, hey, babe, let's go to China. It's like, hey, wait, what? I wasn't ready.
Wow. So, well, I feel like I'm kind of out of questions. That seems like a reasonable place to end there. So I just wanted to sort of throw questions out to the audience. I should say, of course, because of the whole COVID situation, we won't be passing mics around. But if anyone does have any feedback, I don't know, comments, questions, if you just sort of raise your hand and I'll try to relay the question to everyone, assuming you can't hear it. No? Oh, there's one person. Yes, I can see, the lady in the white.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Can you talk about a little bit about the rhythm and the clicking and all the things that you were doing? That was amazing.
Thank you very much. My first language is Ndebele. I am a Zimbabwean native, but to clarify even more, I am a Ndebele man. And in our culture, I guess the clicking is part of just keeping rhythm, but it's also in the language. So sometimes it may sound like I'm just saying, I'll give you an example. The clicks actually mean something. So to say rock, you say kaka. If you want to start something, you're saying kala. To say earring, you say cici. To say frog, you say koko. And all these things, because they're percussive, they also become useful in just bringing texture into it. And in the case where there are no instruments, we're just used to making something up. In the case where there are no words, we'll hum or we'll tululu. Tululu, 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 tululu. So just like that, you're like, oh, there's a vibe. There's a melody. The tululus will become words. And if you want to go halala, halele, halala, halala, and immediately everyone can just get on board with that. That's the reason for that. Because we don't have instruments, and most of our singing traditionally was done outside. And it's celebration singing. There's no time to say, okay, let's hand out some sheets for some lyrics and all that kind of stuff, and we're going to start on E. We don't know about E. You know what I mean? So that's where that comes.
Cool. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, so I think we have time maybe for one more question, because I think time is up against us. There's someone furiously waving their hand.
I noticed there's a lot of enclosure in the film, and you're inside that little box.
Yeah.
And very often you're kind of shielded by this and that, the kind of I don't know what they were, the kind of arch things at the end.
Yeah.
And I wondered what that meant to you, to be enclosed. I mean, you're in a beautiful park and you're enclosed. I mean, what's the enclosure? Is it about the safety of the... What is it about?
So what's the purpose of the enclosure, just in case anyone didn't hear you?
Yeah, so... I'm trying to get to a short version, because I was telling Des yesterday I over-answer questions, you know what I mean? And then I get lost in that.
I know.
Yeah. So, this is actually a hut. It's a conceptual African hut. And I've been very curious, and I'm very curious about the things that happened in huts. And in a way, because this is the first iteration of this, we wanted you to be able to see inside a hut just enough and hear the type of things, the type of music that may have been played in a hut. But more importantly, the kind of music that will be played in a hut 500 years from now. So, in a way, I'm very interested in the sensuality, in Bantu sensuality, like children were made in this hut. You know what I mean? The relationships were built in these huts, which is how I'm here. My great, 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 and so forth, so had a hut like this. And I wonder, what did they do in it? Do you know what I mean? They cooked in it, they fought in it, they loved in it. And this is a telling of just one of those stories. So I guess going forward, it's unpacking the concept of something that would happen in a hut. So in a way, you're listening to the kind of music that not only my ancestors in the past can connect with, but my ancestors in the future can also connect with. And as a performer, I'm so used to interacting with an audience. It's one of the first few times I've performed, and it has been as nourishing for my spirit, because I'm not trying to make sure that everyone's okay. Are you guys cool? Are you smiling? Is everyone happy? Okay, cool. That's the thing. That's the tradition I come from. So the hut also says to me, hey, forget about everyone. It's just us in there making music for our ancestors in the past and in the future. I hope that answers your question.
So, Thabo, I could actually spend like another 2 hours having a conversation with you, but I would be fired pretty quickly. So I just wanted to say once again, thank you so much for an amazingly spellbinding performance. So a round of applause, please, for Thabo.
Thank you. There is one more thing. I don't know if you noticed, I hope you could smell some sort of fragrance coming through I see some heads nodding. We're used to, after a show, I come from a tradition where you greet everyone after the show and you thank them for coming, you give them a hug and move. But we're in these interesting times. So Tom, the producer of the show, came up with a brilliant idea, which was what we did is we took some ribbons and we sprayed the fragrance on the ribbon, so you can carry a little memento, a little abstract hug, from us, something just so you can remember not just our show, but everything you're going to experience this weekend. So I'll be standing at the door with a mask, and we're not going to hug, unfortunately, but you can carry, or you can take one of these with you. Is that cool? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.